Om. 10 Commandments, Principles of Arya Samaj, Part 2. Introduction, authored by Sri Ramadev, Principal, Gurukul University, Kangdi, Haridwar. Section 1. There was a time when it was believed by the leading scientists and philosophers of the world that all civilizations had grown up independently and by a process of evolution. Tyler talked of independent evolution and psychic unity. Dr. Rivers, however, exposed the falsity of this view and started the theory of transmission of cultures. This hypothesis is being increasingly supported by sociologists and anthropologists. In fact, early in the 19th century, von Humboldt had come to the conclusion that if languages afford only feeble proofs of the ancient communications between the old world and the new, the connection is revealed in an indubitable form by the cosmogonies, the monuments, the hieroglyphs, and the institutions of the peoples of America and Asia. The writer of the article on Mexico in the Encyclopedia Britannica and Prescott in his immortal works on Mexico and Peru specifically mentioned India as the possible source of ancient American civilization. This view was, as we have stated, converted into a sociological theory by Dr. Rivers. Perry, in his Children of the Sun, built it up further. He came to the definite conclusion that the idea of universal, steady, continual upward cultural progress must be given up once and for all, as contrary to patent facts. Says Dr. Elliot Smith, M.A., M.D., F.R.S., in the chapter on anthropology contributed by him to the latest American publication on the subject, Evolution in the Light of Modern Knowledge. Moreover, they, ethnologists, invented in the argument that useful arts once acquired could not be lost, a most fallacious claim which wrought untold confusion in the anthropological discussions until Dr. Rivers in 1912 exposed the error and its implications. Again, the amazing coincidences in the arbitrary details of hundreds of strange customs and beliefs revealed in the earliest civilizations of Central Africa, Mexico, and Peru, when compared with contemporary or earlier evidence from Asia, call for something more satisfying in the way of explanation than the claims that the resemblances may arise from no more than a common psychology, and that the evidence which we possess points rather to the undisturbed evolution of Mexico and Mayan civilization on American soil, and that civilization may therefore be regarded as in every sense American. It is not surprising that the man in the street, who is not to be deceived by such trivial evasions of a great issue, attempted to interpret in his own way the obvious fact that there must have been some sort of intimate contact between the old world and the new 10 centuries and more ago, to explain the derivation of the strangely exotic elements of the Mayan, Aztec, Pre-Inca, and Inca civilizations. The learned doctor even recognizes that progress is not the rule. Says he, once the reality of the fact is recognized that progress is the exception rather than the rule in the history of human societies, the chief difficulty is eliminated that was responsible for the doctrine of independent evolution. Not merely this, it is also being recognized in an increasing degree that biological analogies are misleading. Says our author, It is therefore dangerous and misleading to use such terms as evolution, as so many writers are now doing, in reference to cultural history and to circumstances that are fundamentally distinct from those biological phenomena in reference to which the terms in question were devised. Many philosophers and thinkers are now positively of opinion that the source of all cultures in the Veda, says Edward Carpenter in his Art of Creation. A new philosophy we can hardly expect or wish for, since indeed the same germinal thoughts of the Vedic authors come all the way down history, even to Schopenhauer and Whitman, inspiring philosophy after philosophy and religion after religion. And it is only today that science, with its huge conquests in the material plane, is able to provide for these world principles somewhat of a new form, and so wonderful a garment of illustration and expression as it does. Not only are philosophers who study the Veda forced to this view, but even religious propagandists whose interests it is to prove the superiority of their own religion are driven to this startling conclusion, says Maurice Phillips in his The Teachings of the Vedas. It is evident then that the higher up to the sources of the Vedic religion we push our inquiries, the purer and simpler we find the conception of God, and in proportion as we come down to the stream of time, the more corrupt and complex we find it. We conclude, therefore, that the Vedic Aryans did not acquire their knowledge of the divine arbitutes and functions empirically, for in that case we should find at the end what we find at the beginning. Hence, we must seek for a theory which will account alike for the acquisition of Varuna, and for that gradual depravation which culminated in Brahma, and what theory will cover these facts as well as the doctrine of a primitive revelation. Mr. Phillips took the same view in the paper which he read before the Parliament of Religions held at Chicago in 1893. Continued.